How much do you guys love your dad?
A lot. A lot.
Advice that I would give to new dads is to take every single second and just take it all in.
My name is Ed Delago Jr. and I have 3 children, a 26-year-old, I have a 25-year-old, and a 23-year-old.
My name is Mike Sedlacek. I am 28, almost 29, and I have 1 child. He just turned 4.
I am Todd Hahn. I am 27 years old and I just had my first baby.
My name is Robert Ralph Thompson III, aka Bobby Thompson. I am 35 years old. I have 3 children, 5.5-year-old Lola, a 3-year-old Logan, and a 11-month-old who now can open the front door, Lewis.
Riley Mullane, I'm 32 years old. I am a proud dad to 3-year-old twins, a boy and a girl. My son's name is Asher and my daughter's name is Isla.
The moment Jack was first born, I was just the most overwhelmed and in love I've ever been in my life. This is so incredible. This is a part of me. This is a part of Erica.
I had the ability and to really deliver all of my children, and that was an unbelievable experience. I always wanted a girl, so when she was born and I brought her out, I was speechless and tear-eyed. I gave her to my wife.
So the moment I found out I was going to be a dad is a very interesting question. For me, it's kind of like a God thing because my wife and I started dating. When we first met, she told me that her sister was pregnant. Her sister, you know, in the grand scheme of things, wasn't cut out to be a mom. The day that he was born was the day that I knew I was going to be his dad someday. We'd only been dating 26 days, but there was just this gut feeling.
So I remember the first one with Lola. The nurse finally says, okay, the doctor's coming in. I think we're almost ready. Baby comes out and the doctor goes, baby's here. I hear, wow. And like time froze. I understood what it was like to love something and someone wholeheartedly where you could never, ever, ever change my feelings about that person.
I remember they were delivered via C-section. All I kept saying was, they're perfect, they're absolutely perfect, because my wife couldn't see them. Just the feeling of bringing 2 little human beings into the world is unlike anything that you can really describe. I couldn't believe that they were mine.
I think being a better father is to listen and not always be a parent. Be there for them, try to give them the best so they can have a better life than I have.
The way I feel like I could be a better dad is that my days are super full. I'm an entrepreneur, I have my own business. Balance out how much energy I'm giving to him versus how much energy I'm giving to my business as well.
What men can do to be a better dad is to love their wife. They're gonna see you putting out that love. It's easy to get wrapped up in work, and honestly, a lot of times you think you're working harder for your kids. But if you're not there with your kids, they're not catching on to this. All they know is that the only thing in life that's important is to work. Putting your own goals aside a little bit to give your kids an opportunity to have their dad.
Being present. Sometimes when you get home, you're drained. The most important people in the world that I have the most influence on are those 3 little ones at home. I don't want ever to have a time in my life come up where one of them says you weren't there for me. Yeah, trying to be present.
Ways that I could be a better dad, is working on that work-life balance. Just slowing down and figuring out how to manage your time better, who you're spending your time with, and connecting on a deeper level.
Being a dad to me is responsibility. Knowing that you, as a father, you don't always have to be right. And always taking the time to listen to your children and always loving them no matter what.
Being a dad, to me, is sacrifice, number one. Being able to teach them, what kindness, what generosity, what tolerance looks like.
What being a dad means to me is being a good provider. And that doesn't just mean financially. You gotta be excited for your kids. You gotta be excited with your kids. I'm just so excited to spend time with him. He's gonna be a good kid. I can already tell.
Right now, I'm kind of torn in between that part of, providing for, right? But then also when I'm there, as an owner of a business, being present and turning things away and turning things off and saying like, this is why I do what I do.
Being a dad, for me, means the obvious, the love and the compassion and the guidance. but it also means just being there.
One of the things I'm most proud of as a dad when I watch Grayson, especially when he interacts with other kids at daycare and stuff, is that he's so compassionate and he's like so caring for other people. I hope that I'm nurturing him as much as we possibly can to keep living that. And it's just super gratifying watching him be as caring and loving as he is for other people.
The moment that's made me most proud so far was when we were in the NICU and Jack's IV fell out. I don't know what the issue was, but it took about 2 hours and 8 people to try to get a new IV in. It was a huge struggle for us, and he was totally calm. He was totally calm. All I could do was think about how proud I was, and that was a new feeling for me, especially as being a new dad. You know, that was new for me to feel that moment of, that's my son.
Logan is at the point where he's 3.5 and he really could care less about soccer at this point. So he's the kid that'll kind of run around and, you know, give his friends fives and hugs. And there's this little girl on the other team. And it took literally her mom and her dad the whole first, 10 minutes to even get her on the field. She finally gets on the field and she is crying hysterically. Logan stops and he just walks up to her and doesn't say a word and gives her a hug. And I was like, that's cool. And you could see him, I'm watching what he's doing, and he's telling the dad, he's like, you can come play with me. And he takes her by the hand, and he brings her out on the field, and gets her to play soccer. I'll remember that the rest of my life.
Moments that make me really proud as a dad is watching my children interact with each other, and when they're showing signs of love and respect from one another at an early age, it makes me feel like my wife and I are doing something right. What's better than that? There's nothing better than just love.
If my kids could learn one thing from me, never take life for granted.
The legacy that I would want to leave behind for my children is pretty much the same legacy that my dad has left for me, and that is really hard work, determination, loyalty.
If I could leave a legacy for my kids, I want them to know that they can create and not be afraid. But I want them to know that they can love, like really love. I feel like the world lacks so much of that today.
I would like my kids to know that I worked hard for them. I worked hard to be a good person in this community, being good friends, good neighbors, having good morals, not cutting corners, not undercutting people.
The type of legacy that I would like to leave behind for my children is to have them have a true understanding that fear truly doesn't exist. And that's something that my dad taught me at a very early age. See what sort of growth happens outside of your comfort zone. Do something that will continue to move them forward. And I want them to see that in me.
I respect a lot about my father. He taught me the value of really working hard and going what I wanted to do in life.
The thing I respect most about my dad is the hard work and doing things right the first time.
What I respect most about Dad is the fact that he's not afraid to take a leap of faith. I'm very impressed with my dad, not because of what he's accomplished, but because of who he is.
I respect my dad for his hard work. He doesn't take the easy way. He's determined. When he gets something in his mind, he's gonna do it. Definitely has passed that on.
I respect a lot of things about my dad. He always made time for me, and he always made me feel like I was truly loved. Every day that he would come home, he would start a conversation. I was very blessed and still am very blessed and very fortunate to have a relationship with my dad where we get into some very, very deep conversations together.
My father passed on a lot of important aspects of life. He worked hard for his family, and he really passed on a good work ethic, and he made me realize how dreams become reality if you work hard.
The skills and attributes that my dad passed along to me is definitely hard work. I mean, this guy, he is he works so hard. What I want to pass on to my children is that passion. I mean, I've seen that passion in him in the love and work for what he does, but also like doing things right the first time. Be honest, be truthful, do it right the first time, and great things will happen.
He's not afraid to take chances and believe in what you're doing, even when no one else does. And he's been able to start a thriving business from nothing. He believes in himself and he believes in me.
The one thing I learned from my dad, that's a really hard question. He's selfless. He would literally work as hard as he could for the family. The integrity that that guy has, and like, I've never seen him talk badly about somebody else. It's pretty impressive.
My dad passed along a lot of attributes to me. I remember riding with my dad. We were coming back from my piano lesson, and he would quiz me all of the time on who sings this, what album is it from. We would spend this quality time together where we're never just driving in silence.
My children have taught me to listen and to understand.
I've learned that I need to be more patient. I want to find ways to be able to respond in the best way that I can regardless of the situation.
And my children, they've taught me so many things. Number one, to slow down. What they really have taught me is being in the moment.
The biggest thing that I've learned from my children would be patience, humility, literally how little I know. The privilege that I get to be the father to those 3 kids is amazing.
It's a tough question. So if my dad were to walk through the door right now, I would just thank him for all the stuff he's done for me, but for the stuff that he'll continue to teach me.
I would tell my father, if he was right now, that thank you very much for fighting 3 wars. He came back with no problems, raised his children, and gave us really a good work ethic value that we can pass on to our children and their children.
If my dad walked in right now, I'd just give him a hug. I'd just tell him that I'm thankful.
My dad came through that door this moment right now. What would I tell him? I could have fallen off of the route that they had set out for me. It's the morals and the example that he set that kept me on it. Say thank you.
I would tell him that I love him more than anything. I would start by giving him a big old hug, and I would thank him for taking the time that he took and always made time for the good times. He never missed out on big life moments that had to do with me.
Dude! What's up, Beast? Hi! Hi! The kids are the absolute greatest gift that you can ever have. Period.